Shri Sai Ram. On behalf of our East Coast Chennai, I welcome to the most awaiting series of our weekly satsang, Shri Sai Amrita Vachanam. A warm welcome to our brother Shri Pawan Kumar Mangu, who would be sharing his wonderful and lovely experiences with our beloved Lord Swami. To introduce Brother Pawan Kumar, he is an alumnus student of our Sri Sathya Sai High Institute from Puttaparthi. To begin, he has started his journey when he was at the age of 5. That was the first time when he looked at Swami's picture. And then the journey has commenced from then, and it's never ending till today. Brother Pawan Kumar has done his primary education in Puttaparthi, and he spent almost 4 years in Puttaparthi during his education tenure there. And later he moved due to personal reasons, he came out. But again, Swami wanted him to be in Puttaparthi. So he again joined his BSc. He has done his completed BSc in Bioscience, and he has spent his those period in Puttaparthi, where he'll be narrating so much of his lovely, beautiful days that he has spent with Swami, our beloved Lord there. He happened to be a part of a trumpet as well as a motor cat, which he will be narrating through sharing his experiences during our tenure today. And he has been a very close friend and of our Sri Anil Kumar sir, who is very well known by a way of translator to Swami. And we would be also sharing a few of his beautiful, wonderful moments with Swami as well as Sir Anil Kumar sir. In the interest of time, I now would request Brother Pawan Kumar to share his beautiful moments with our beloved Lord, and let's us also get a grace of Swami through participating through this satsang. Thank you, Pawan. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sairam. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Baba, our beloved Lord, who is all-powerful, takes care of all of us. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, and everybody who's part of this e-meet. I'm very glad to be here. I think it's by Swami's design I'm here, and I'm sharing instances, experiences out of my life with Swami. So I'll keep it as crisp as possible. And if you have any questions, I think we have time from 6:45 to 7 for any questions that you have to ask. But well, it's been a beautiful journey. I think the only God I know is Swami. Like Sairam brother was just mentioning, the first time that I saw Swami's picture was when I was 5 years old. My mother had previous experience with Swami, and she's been close to Swami. Thanks to Swami again, because without his will, we cannot get close to him. So in some way or the other, she got close to Swami. She was a devotee already. So she showed me the picture of Swami and said, that is God. That's the only God I knew from then onwards, and always thought of Swami as God and was longing to meet him. But I will keep my journey aside and start with the miracles in my family, because obviously what I am is because of my grandparents and my parents. So I'll start with the journey of what my grandparents went through and how did I get there, right? So I think that'll be a good chronology to follow to kind of talk about Swami. So my paternal grandfather, a very renowned doctor, actually, Dr. M.N. Rao, spent 17 years in Prashantanarium, again by Swami's design. And it was a beautiful journey how we got there. And then I also talk about my maternal grandmother and grandfather and how they came to Swami's fold. Also my maternal grandmother's younger sister, who you all know very popularly. I will talk to you about her as well. And then I'll talk about me, because it's only fair to talk about my family before, because I'm nothing without the family that Swami has obviously blessed me with, right? So my paternal grandfather retired as the director for the Institute for Health and Hygiene from Kolkata. So that was a institute that was under the Ministry of Health, and a very big institute at that point of time. Grandfather had actually finished his MD from Harvard, and he had finished his MD um, in public health. And that was a very rare MD that normally people would take. They would take cardiology or something else, but he chose public health for some reason. And there are certain remarkable stories about grandfather. The reason I'm mentioning this is a very particular one, because we'll talk about it later in the journey and how it happened that he came to Parthi. So it's very funny, in the sense how Swami kind of recognizes this ego that you have, that you're a senior man in the government sector, and then you expect somebody to pick you up from the airport or the railway station. So let me narrate that in a bit. But coming back to grandfather's credentials. So he finished his MD from Harvard. He was picked up from an Andhra institute. He was a topper in MBBS, and at that point of time, Rockefeller was looking for people who were very good, promising in medicine. So he picked people up from India as well, and he came to the Andhra University in the Second World War time, and he picked up grandfather. So grandfather traveled by ship to go to Harvard and finished his MD there. And he, of course, went ahead to do a lot of projects with WHO and World Labor Organization, traveled all across the world, England, US, UK, third world countries, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Russia, you name it, he's been everywhere. So if you open his passport, every country's stamp would be on it, including Papua New Guinea. So he also went there. So a lot of places he had been to. And he retired, obviously, as the director for Institute for Health and Hygiene. After retirement, he said, I need to settle down from Kolkata now to my hometown, which is the land of the Telugus, which is Hyderabad at that point of time. And it was a united state. There was no Telangana. But he came into Hyderabad, settled down, built a house. He had a couple of houses in other places. Obviously, he had made his money at that point of time, had a Swiss bank account. So he was doing very well, financially. 5 children. My father is the second one. And so everything was going well for him. And then after he retired, he said, let me come back to come back to Hyderabad and settle down. So on one such visit after retirement, just after retirement, last stint was in Sri Lanka as the last posting for his before retirement as a public health man. So he came back to India and then wanted to settle down in Hyderabad, and he was in Bangalore visiting a friend. And then the friend said, Rao, he used to be called Rao very popularly. And they said, Rao, you want to settle down in Hyderabad, right? Why don't you, and you're looking at a beautiful place to settle down. I will suggest a beautiful place to you. The place you can go and settle down is Puttaparthi. And he never heard of that name before. So grandfather was like, what is Puttaparthi? I have no idea. Then this gentleman said, why don't you go and visit that place? And Puttaparthi falls between Bangalore and Hyderabad anyway. So you could actually travel to Puttaparthi, and from there you can go to Hyderabad. It'll be a good idea. At that point of time, there was only a meter gauge train that used to take you from Bangalore to Puttaparthi. I think it was a Venkatadri Express or something like that, because I used to take that train pretty often traveling to Puttaparthi myself when I was a kid. So I remember the name. But anyway, so he said, okay, let me go to Puttaparthi. So he went to Puttaparthi with his wife, and my grandmother was very diabetic at that point of time, and she died of the same reason, maybe later in a couple of years. But they had reached the Dharmavaram station sometime in 1980, okay? And they got off at the station at about 8 p.m. IST. So they got off, and knowing my grandfather being a very popular man and holding a lot of positions in his official life, he was expecting some people to receive him like normally it would happen. But this time, obviously, he's retired. Nobody was there, but he got off on the platform anyway because he knew he had to go to Puttaparthi, and Dharmavaram was the closest station. From Dharmavaram, you had to take a tonga to take it from the railway station. And some of the devotees who are here would know it, because if you're traveling to Puttaparthi for many years, you have to take a tonga from the railway station to the bus station. And from the bus station, you take a bus and go to Puttaparthi. That was the procedure. So he got off 8 p.m. Nobody was there. There was not even a soul. And Dharmavaram, that one of time, 1980, was kind of barren. Nobody was there. Small town, still not very big. And so they didn't know what to do. They had no hotels. He had no idea. And his customary welcome was not there. So obviously a little disappointed. But all of a sudden, they saw at the distance, after 5 minutes of waiting on the platform, they saw a man running towards him in whites and saying Sairam, Sairam. And he had no idea what Sairam means, right? So he waited for that man to come, and the man came and said, Sairam, sir, my name is so-and-so, so-and-so, I forget the name now. And he said, I've come to receive you. Swami sent me. As if Swami had sent this person, but actually it was not so. I'll tell you more about it. So this man came and said, Swami had sent me to receive you from Dhanvaram station. I've made arrangements for you in the waiting room. It's very late in the night. We'll go to Puttaparthi in the morning. I have a car with me. Swami sent a car for you. So please come. Obviously, grandfather, expecting this customary welcome, was very happy. Wow, I've got a car, I've got a person to receive me. So his ego was pumped, as anybody's would, if you have all this sent by Swami himself. So grandfather was telling me that he thought that maybe Swami had heard that he's coming to Puttaparthi because he's a popular person. And so Swami, using his connections, sent for a car and sent this man here. They're very happy. So that night they spent in the waiting room. Beds were arranged, white beds, very clean, AC waiting room. Food was arranged by this gentleman who came in whites. They gave them everything that they wanted. They were very comfortable that night. They slept very peacefully. They woke up in the morning. They had breakfast. Again, this man came back and gave breakfast. He was sleeping at a relative's place in Dharmavaram. And grandfather was very, very happy that this welcome was given. He had the breakfast. They got into the car, drove to Parthi the next morning, reached Parthi. Right in front of the Ganesh gate, this gentleman stops the car and says, Sir, Swami asked me to drop you at the Ganesh gate. I'll give you instructions. Go inside. There's an accommodation center. You'll be able to get accommodation for yourselves. I don't think it's a problem. And that point of time, accommodation was never a problem in Prashant Nilayam. So he dropped them off. They went inside. This man disappeared. They went into the ashram, got an accommodation. And of course, nothing else happened. In fact, Swami came in his regular darshans, and grandfather had this expectation that Swami will speak with him, call him for an interview and have a close conversation with him and say, how are you, Dr. Rao? It's been such a long time, blah, blah, blah. Nothing of that sort happened. So Swami never even looked at them. There was no interview. There was normal darshan that Swami did everywhere. And it was a normal day. Finally, after 2 days of staying in Parthi, he said, okay, it's time to go back to Hyderabad. Let's take our bus back to the railway station. He knew that this gentleman is not going to come pick him up. It was only for the pickup that he did it. For dropping off, nobody will come. So he took the bus with his wife, my grandmother, and they reached the railway station. The train was at 8 p.m. in the night, and they reached the railway station already at about 6:30. They reached the railway station. They didn't know what to do. They were killing time. And then the grandfather said, let us do one thing. Since, the station master must have definitely helped us in getting a room and for our stay. I mean, they were very nice to us. Though we didn't have a great time in Parthi, I expected Swami to speak to us, but first time, right, so Swami wouldn't have come. Let me go to the railway station, the station master, and thank him. So they went to the station master's room, knocked at the door, went inside, the man was sitting there. And then he said, I'm Dr. Rao. And very proudly saying, I'm Dr. Rao. As if the station master would know him, because he thought the station master must have been informed about his arrival, and that's how the guy with the car came and all that stuff. The station master was looking at them and wondering what to say. And after a pause of about 5-6 seconds, my grandfather again repeated himself. I'm Dr. Rao, a retired director for Institute for Health and Hygiene, and I've come to Parthi, and I got a car in the morning 2 days back, and in the evening 2 days back, and this gentleman helped us out, dropped us at Parthi. I'm so thankful for you to give that room, right? You gave us the room to stay at the waiting room. It was very nice of you to give us the room, is what he said. Again, there was silence for 5 seconds. The station master said nothing. And so then Dr. Rao said, why are you doing this, sir? Do you remember me? He said, I have no idea who you are. This is the response to the station master. I have no idea who you are. I don't know why you're talking to me and saying that I gave you a room. Which room did I give you? Then grandfather had no other option to explain to him that he gave him the waiting room. And the waiting room was absolutely spick and span clean. AC was there, clean bed sheets and everything. And the station master said, sorry, sir, I think you have mistook where you've come. And then grandfather said, no, I've come here. So finally, after the argument started, and the station master, I think he got fed up. He said, I have other things to do. Let me take this man to the waiting room. So he took the keys, bundled with him, took him to the station master's, to the waiting room, opened the door and said, sir, see, look inside. When grandfather and grandmother looked into the room, they saw full of cobwebs. They saw a lot of furniture there. They were wondering how 2 days back the room was damn clean, where they slept, clean beds, good food, air conditioning running, very comfortable stay. And now they're seeing the same room, and he can recognize the room, that there is full of cobwebs. There is a lot of furniture which is thrown, broken furniture which is not being used at all in the station. And so they said, Station Master, what is this? We saw this room was spick and span. The station master said, for the past 2 years, this room has been like this. Nobody's gone into this room and nobody has come out of this room. I don't know what you're saying, which station you've gone to. And there are no two stations in Dharmavaram. Dharmavaram is a very small station. There's only one station and there's only one waiting room. There's no AC. I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Rao. He said that, walked off, locking the room. Grandmother and grandfather were standing there staring at each other, staring at the room, and they're completely shocked. Okay? That was the first experience grandfather had. And of course, they went back to Hyderabad, narrated the whole story. They came back in 1982 because my uncle got married to my aunt in Puttaparthi, and Swami performed the marriage. Swami, the lady Surekha, my uncle's wife, actually is a devotee of Swami and studied in Anantapur. And so Swami, and she took it very strongly. She said, Swami, if you're going to get me married, it's going to be you getting me married to my husband. And so Swami took personal interest, got her married to, and he created the Mangal Sutram, gave us an interview. And I was a small kid that time. That's the first time Swami spoke to me. And my mother was saying, speak to Swami, speak to Swami. And I was scared because he had this big hair and he was looking at me, I was looking at him. Then mother made a complaint. She said, this guy doesn't listen to me. Chudandi na mata vinadu, in Telugu, saying that this guy doesn't listen to me. And Swami came to me and said, no, you should listen to your mother. You should be a good boy. That's what he said when I was 5 years old. Anyway, during the course of that interview, grandfather was also there, and he said, Swami, I want to settle down in Puttaparthi. He obviously realized that Swami is God by that time. And it was 2 years since that incident happened in the railway station. And so Swami said, it is not the right time for you, Dr. Rao, you come back later. So grandfather had no idea why Swami is saying it's not the right time. And so very reluctantly, he went back to Hyderabad, upset, disappointed that he's wondering why it is not the right time, because all his sons are married. He has no daughters. Everybody's married. 4 sons are in the US, settled down. 1 son is in Hyderabad, living in the house, which he has built, big house. Everything is fine, financially all secure. What is that dependency that Swami is talking about is what grandfather was thinking. Within a month's time after Swami saying that, my grandmother passed away. And that's what Swami was referring to. And she passed away. And then after her passing away, he went back to Parthi sometime in 82, mid 82, and informed Swami that the grandmother passed away. And Swami says, I know. That's why I sent you back. Now it is the right time for you to come and stay with me in Parthi, is what Swami said, and granted him residence in Puttaparthi in Prashantanilayam. That's where he spent 17 years from 1980, 83 early. I should say 18 years, in 1982 end to 2000 when he passed away in Puttaparthi. So that's how grandfather settled down in Puttaparthi in R4, B6, round building 4. B6 is 6th room from the second floor, the first floor, B floor. And very beautiful memories is there because I used to travel there and, spend time with him. So that's grandfather, paternal side. Maternal side, grandmother was also very devoted, very, very pious, used to be very religious. The important thing I was trying to tell you is my maternal grandmother's younger sister is Mrs. P. Sushila, the playback singer. And she's also been a very ardent devotee of Swami for many years now. And she's sung obviously a lot of Tamil and Telugu and Kannada and Malayalam songs across, and everybody knows her, and she's very popular. So I used to meet her when she used to come to Parthi. Of course, my mother used to come, and my mother was very close to P. Sushila because my mother's aunt is her, mother's younger sister, her mother's younger sister. So they were very close. So we used to spend some great times with Susila's elder son, only son right now. He was also in Parthi for some time studying there. The fact is that the house P. Sushila came into Swami's fold is because her first son was born deceased. He had a skin problem. He used to bleed from his skin at a very tender age. Even at the age of 3 months, he used to bleed from his skin, and she didn't know what to do. She took him to all the kind of doctors that she could do. She could take him to. None of the doctors had a solution to it, and they said it's a very unique problem. and it can't be solved. And unfortunately, they couldn't help it. At least the medicine at that point of time couldn't solve the problem. And that's how she moved. She went and met Anjali Devi Garu, who was a very old Telugu actress, also acted in Tamil movies, I'm sure. But met with her, and she was a devotee of Swami, and then she introduced P. Sushila to Swami, and Swami blessed the child, gave him vibhuti. But then one point of time, after a couple of years, he passed away. Not even a couple of years. I think within a year, this young small boy passed away. And the nurse for that boy was my mother. My mother was spending a lot of time in Chennai, and she, was nursing this young boy and took care of him. And that's when Swami's visits and all that stuff at Sundaram and Anjali Devi's house, and very close meetings with Swami and taking Pad Namaskar and all happened for my mother. That's how my mother was a devotee of Swami. That's about the family and how they came into Swami's fold. But I'll now move into what about myself. So I was put into the school because my grandfather said, it's a great place to be, and told my father to put me in the school. He wanted all his grandchildren to be there, and I was the eldest grandson. He had an elder granddaughter from the elder son of my grandfather, and they were in the US. So my cousins, my cousin sister and cousin brother was younger to me, sister was older to me. So all the three of us started studying in Patti. Of course, at that point of time, being a child, staying at Swami's feet, didn't know much. Used to go for darshan every Thursday and Sunday. I remember that much. And then Muni auntie and all the other aunties were literally like mothers to us, who took care of us, fed us. I was down with. I think I had very bad chicken pox at one point, and I was put in West Block. Muni auntie took care of me like her own son, literally, and fed me, gave me food, medicine. It was a great experience. Of course, not much to tell about that experience because I was a kid, and obviously, as a child, you would miss your parents. I was missing my parents a lot at that point of time. But I spent about 4 years there. My sister was missing me, so I was called back in I think 83 to 87. I came back. And then, of course, I was doing my 11th and 12th, sorry, 10th class here, 11th and 12th also, sorry, I completed in Hyderabad. And I wasn't doing very well in studies. I was ignoring studies. I was having a good time with friends. My pastime was more sports and games than studies, and Swami realized this guy has to come back to my fold. So as luck would have it, I wrote my MSET. The first time I didn't get through medicine, which I was trying after my 12th class. And then I got into something else. I got into, what do you call it? A different field, which I didn't want to get into. And then the same entrance program. And grandfather said, why do you want him to write the entrance again? Why didn't he write the entrance to Swami's Institute? He's a Swami student. He came here when he was a kid. And grandfather was adamant. He said, let him come back and do it. I knew Swami was God, but for some reason I was reluctant to come back, and I had a bad experience the first time staying as a kid, and I was missing my parents a lot, so I was a little concerned about that. But my grandfather said, no, if you want him to be a gentleman, if you want him to really be a gem of a guy, he has to go to Parthi. So I went back to Parthi, and I'm sure the entrance exam was nothing great when I wrote the entrance exam. I remember it was a very simple. I knew that I did horribly bad in physics and chemistry because I was very weak in physics and chemistry. I was decent enough in English, biology, zoology, and a couple of other subjects I studied. So I was decent and I wrote it. I was 99.9%. I was not going to get through the entrance exam, and that's what I thought. So the results were announced. The results were put up on the institute gate that day, and we were supposed to go to the institute gate and read the results. So the parents, everybody goes there, and it's like the results that used to come out earlier, right? Without the internet age is not there. So right now everything comes on internet, and you can just Google and find out the results. But there, it's stuck on a piece of iron or some metal off the gate, and then you have to kind of run around and ensure that you are in the right place to see the results. Obviously, we were trying to get through the results, see the results, and we couldn't because there's so many people there. The first glance, first 2 pages, I didn't see my name. So I was kind of not surprised that, I didn't see my name because I knew that I didn't write the exam very well. Then father suddenly noticed, hey, Pawan, your name is there. So I was not 99.9% sure that wouldn't be my name. It could be a different Pawan. And then like luck would have it, there were 7 Pawans there. out of which there was Pawan P, Pawan M, and Pawan M. There's another Pawan M who also joined us in that group, in my batch. So I was also there. So there were two Pawan M's, and then my date of birth and everything was there. So that it was confirmed it was me. But I was very, very sure that I will not get through. Anyway, so that's another Swami's miracle. I guess he wanted me to come back, and I came back. And what a beautiful experience. I would say that those were the best days of my life. I want to relive those days as is, without any change, with anything. Relive those days. And I believe I should make most of every experience I got with Swami at that point of time. Now I feel bad that there are some instances where I kind of wild away my time. I should have spent more time with Swami and be more close to him. There were things I did which I regret, really. I mean, as a student, because as a kid, of course, you go to Swami's fold and then you're too young, and as a youngster, you are focused on Swami, but there is this wavering mind. Like Swami says, mind is a mad monkey. It literally is a mad monkey. And Swami always opened a speech with a beautiful verse. And the most famous one, the most popular one that I remember, where Swami would open up is with Bhaja Govindam. And it's a beautiful verse. I just want to sing it for you. It goes like this. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kala sarvam ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam maya maya medam akhilam hitva Brahmapadam tvam parishaviditva bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudhamate. What it means is, do not boast of wealth, friends, youth, and the most important part is youth, where you feel that you're very handsome, very smart, all that stuff you feel when you're a youngster, right? And when you grow up, you realize you're losing hair, you're losing your talent, or you realize where you really are in talent vis-a-vis the other people in the market. And you realize that you're just a normal guy. The only thing that added value to me in my education is me being with Swami. I think that's the only thing that added value to me. That's about my entrance into Swami's institution. Okay, so let's talk about the mind being a mad monkey, and some lessons which I've learned from Swami, which will stay with me for the rest of my life. And believe me, these lessons really are driven into you with some miracle or the other, which he does in his physical form. And there's some miracles he does outside his physical form, which he does through dreams and through meetings, through some miraculous, appointments he makes with you, and it's amazing. I'll tell you about it. So, mind is a mad monkey, right? So we don't know the mind, and the mind always thinks that it's the strongest, it's the big. And Swami says, mind is a mad monkey. Don't follow the mind, follow the conscience, because conscience is God. And so many times I've swayed out from that route, where you have to focus on the mind. And this is how Swami gets you back in a very subtle way, okay? And these are some real life experiences. So in the darshan, when you sit as a student and you sit as a disciplined student in the line and all that stuff, right? It's really fun to be there. But you get diverted. You see this man, you see that man, you see this woman, you see this president, you see this prime minister, you see the prime minister coming with a lot of bodyguards, and you feel, oh wow, this is amazing. The car is amazing. So your diversion from Swami moves to a car or something else, or somebody else, and so you kind of get swayed with all these things happening behind you, and then Swami comes and gets you back. So once he just came to us, it was me and another senior brother. His name is Sathya, was sitting on the right side. Swami came and stood right in front of us and was looking into our eyes, directly into our eyes, and we're looking at Swami like that, and Swami is looking at us. What do we tell Swami? Nothing. What can we say? And we knew that Swami is going to say something. He asked us a question. He said, do you know what devotion is? That's the question he asked us, okay? Do you know what devotion is? Now, youngsters, about 17, 18 years old, didn't have the guts to say anything to Swami. You cannot say, Swami, I know Swami. Then you'll say, what is devotion? Right? That'll be the first question. Or if you say, we don't know devotion, Swami says, you don't know devotion. You're not devoted to us. I mean, devoted to me. So I had no idea what to say. So I kept my mouth shut. I just said, Swami, Swami. He said, you know what devotion is? We had no idea what to say. Then suddenly he turned his back and he looked at one devotee sitting there in a very casual way, right? He's got his hand behind him, both his hands are clasped behind him, very casually. I turned to this devotee and he said something in Russian. He spoke in Russian to this devotee. Something he was discussing in Russian. And suddenly, as if he's talking to us, he looked back at us and he says, in Russia, people don't know how to speak English. That's why I'm speaking Russian. He's explaining to us why he's speaking in Russian to this gentleman. Again, turned back to the Russian devotee and started speaking to him in Russian. And we were wondering what's happening because we had no idea what was happening. And after some time, the Russian devotee started, sitting on his knees and then fell at Swami's feet and took Pad Namaskar, and Swami created Vibhuti and gave it to him. And he had the Vibhuti, and that guy was crying, literally crying. Then he turned towards and he said, that is true devotion. So we were like, what do you mean by that, Swami? We were all wondering what, because we couldn't understand Russian. Then he translated. You know what he said? He spoke in English. This man landed in Bangalore and he is devotee of Swami. He landed in Bangalore, and because he is Swami's devotee, he took his backpack, very heavy backpack, poor thing. He walked all the way from Bangalore airport to Prashanta Nilayam to see Swami. And every step of the way, what this gentleman was saying is, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Every single step he was saying, Sai Ram, thinking of Swami. He says, that is devotion. Now that is devotion, is what he told us, smiled and walked away. So as youngsters at 17, 18, what do we take away from that? And we literally kind of had tears in our eyes because that is devotion shown. And here we are students sitting in front of Swami. And what are we looking at? We're looking at cars, we're looking at flowers, we're looking at sparrows and pigeons flying around or people walking in. We're not even focused on Swami. And this guy walks all the way to from Bangalore to Puttaparthi, walking with his backpack saying Sai Ram every step. And Swami said, that is devotion. So Swami kind of gives you a nudge and says, that is devotion, okay? That's how you should love me. He will not say it in so many words, but he said it, right? And then, of course, we students are always eager to meet Swami, have a conversation with Swami. Swami should create a ring for us. Swami should give us Vibhuti. Swami should give us Pad Namaskar. Swami should speak to us longer than other students so that we feel more special to Swami than other students. And if Swami speaks to other students, we feel jealous. We don't show it, but we are human, so we feel it. And Swami does an amazing job in kind of getting all that. He knows every single thing. I'll tell you more about how he knows every single thing that we think about. He knows about every single thing that we do. And it's not a secret. We all know it. And I'll show you how he proves it. I'll tell you how he proves it to us in so many ways. So this interview happened when Swami normally used to come out onto the veranda and stand there, look at all of us, very mischievously look at us. Huh? Look at Kotulu. Kotulu means monkeys. Okay. Korangu in Tamil. The Korangu irukku. There are a lot of monkeys here. Okay. Come, he would say. As soon as he come, we'll run into the interview room. Okay. In the cycle 1 hall. And so one fine instance, we were waiting, and I would, at that time, I think that day, I was the first guy to get into the queue because I knew Swami was calling for interviews. I didn't want to miss the chance. So I was sitting right in the front, and Swami said, come. And because I was in the front, I ran like a mad guy. I don't know what came over me. All decency forgotten, okay, everything forgotten, ran into the interview room and sat next to Swami's chair. But there was a smart guy, a senior of mine, who beat me to it. So that guy was first, I was second. And then Swami would come. He would come into the interview room and says, I close the door. And he himself will close the door and come. He'll lock it from inside. He came and then he will see. There's no place to walk because everybody is there. Everybody's laps are overtwined over each other and there's no place to sit. And Swami says, okay, Jaragand, move, I have to sit. So he walked all the way through the throne, and luckily I'm sitting at Swami's feet. Maybe one of those people who was sitting at Swami's feet, very close to him. And that day Swami started to talk about Ramayanam and how Rama is an epitome of human values and how Rama and Lakshmana are the best examples that you can give to any student, anybody, and how Ramayana is the greatest story ever told. So he's talking about Ramayana, Rama Tattvam, and all that stuff. And we were kids, right? I mean, I always give this excuse, we were kids. But now we've grown up and we know the value. And I still was very, very valuable. But then, of course, we were kids. We were thinking about other things. I mean, we were not really interested in what he was talking about. Of course, we understood it to a certain extent, but we were not like experts or poets or intellectuals who could understand him 100%. So we were like, obviously, including me and some others, maybe we were diverted. And we were, kind of nodding our heads. So Swami was talking about Ramayana. And Swami all of a sudden got up and said, he just sat up and a very mischievous smile and very excited. Like that excitement I see in my child right now, my 5-year-old kid. When he gets excited about something, my 4-year-old kid will do that. New car given to him, ordered on Amazon. He would pick it up and say, new car, new car. Like that, Swami sat up, literally like a kid, and he said, you want to see something? Literally, I mean, you could see his expressions. Extremely interested in he wanted to show us something. You want to see something? He said, yes, Swami, yes, Swami, yes, Swami. He got up, he waved his hand, okay, like this, and tuck something in the midair he caught. It was a small ornament, not a small, a pretty big ornament, maybe as big as this mouse. And he said, you know what this is? And we were like wondering what that is. Then he said, this is Sita's Chudamani. The Chudamani that Sita gives Hanuman when Hanuman is leaving Lanka, to show the proof that actually he met Sita. He gave the Chudamani. This is Sita's Chudamani. Some blue stone on top of the Chudamani and a lot of other stones, and I forget the shape of it. It was absolutely fabulous. And you couldn't take our eyes off that Chudamani. All of us are looking at the Chudamani. I said, wow, wow, wow. Then Swami takes the Chudamani in front of me, because I was the first boy sitting in front. He put it on a small stool, which is right on his left side of the chair. He normally has a stool. He put it on the stool. I'm right next to the stool. Then Swami says, you want to see something else? And we said, yes, Swami, yes, Swami. And then Swami waves his hand. Okay. Again catches something as big as a bangle. As big as a bangle. We thought it was a bangle. And it had a red stone on top of it and some great embossment on top of it. And we were wondering what it is. And then Swami said, you know what this is? This is Rama's ring, which Rama gave Hanuman to show to Sita that he's actually coming from Ram, because otherwise Sita will not know. And so that was that ring. And we were looking at it, astonished, looking at the red ruby. I don't know what stone it is. I'm assuming it's a ruby with a beautiful embossment. And Swami said, this is Rama's ring. And we're looking at the ring and, wondering what a beautiful thing that is to see. I mean, what a sight for sore eyes, And we're looking at it, and then he says, okay. He puts it on the table again. Again, that item is right in front of me. Right in front of me, actually. And then next, he says, you want to see the biggest diamond in the world? And then we know that Swami created Kohinoor once when he was in Kodaikanal. This time he said, biggest diamond in the world. Okay, do you want to see it? We said, yes, Swami. Everybody is, willing to see it, right? Everybody's interested. He waved his hand, and this time he just caught something in midair. I mean, waving his hand like this, and tuck, he caught something. And it is actually as big as this glass. It is fitting his whole palm, slightly bigger than this. It fit his palm, and he said, this is the biggest diamond in the world. Okay? There was no sound after that, because if that's the biggest diamond in the world, it's bigger than his palm, and he's just showing that this is the biggest diamond in the world. It's like a stone, okay, pink in color, and he's saying this is the biggest diamond in the world. And we're looking at the diamond completely flabbergasted, and he says, I'll put it on the table. Put it on the table, and then we were all looking at the 3 items on the table because we're so focused on that. And then he said, don't look at the creation, look at the creator. Because he said, look at me. And then we looked back at him, because then he wanted us to look at him. So we looked at him and said, Swami. And he started talking about Ramayana again. I think the idea was to create something for the kids so they can see the facts of Ramayana and then get us interested in the story and then continue with the story. The idea was not to create items for us. Okay. He said, look at the creator, not the creation. But we were looking at Swami and praying to Swami and said, okay, Swami, please continue. But I, a naughty bugger, sitting in front of Swami at his feet, and on my right side, I can see that, the table is there. I've got 3 items there. And I was still interested to see if those items, what the items look like. So looking at Swami, though Swami said, look at the creator, slowly I turned my head within about 30 seconds of him saying it to see how the items are. One more peek, one more look. I want to see what the items look like. You never see the biggest diamond in the world. It has got no value because people have not found out there's a biggest diamond in the world. So let me take a look at it. Looking at Swami, slowly I turned my head and saw the table to see where the items were. You won't believe it. None of the items were there. Not the biggest diamond in the world, not Sita's Chudamani, not Rama's ring. All the 3 items are gone, disappeared, were not there. You won't believe it. Happened to me. So basically, what is he trying to say? There are 3 things that have come from my own hand. They're right in front of you. You boys are more interested in the material than me, who's God, talking to you about Rama. So focus on me, not those items. Lesson for me, I was the most interested to see what the items look like. And so I looked back again. So that's one experience as a student. So what Swami does is, you are in a shock. You are in a dilemma where to look at. Looking at items, looking at material stuff. But actually, Swami wants you to look at him, because he's the most important, he's the only thing permanent in this world. So these are the kind of things Swami does. He speaks in a different tongue, he speaks in Russian, he speaks to you in a different language, and amazing stuff. I think 4 minutes away from 6:45, but I'll spend about these 4 minutes with DP Sir's permission on another beautiful miracle that happened with me when I was a student there. And we're talking about the time that I was a student. We'll get into other details maybe in the next session with your permission, DP Sir. So what happened is I was actually in Hyderabad packing, and this very house which I'm talking from, and I had come for holidays, winter holidays, and 15 days spent. Was supposed to go back, and I was short of white clothes. And my mother said, "What are you doing? Why didn't you buy them before? Why did you forget?" Then I said, "No, Ma, I'll go buy now." So I went to the nearby market with my father to buy the white clothes, and obviously father for paying, right? Because it's to pay. And so we went there, and I bought a pair of white clothes, and we just bought it. It came out, and we saw this man with a turban, like from the suburbs of Hyderabad, walking with a stick, and his leg was completely cut. For some reason, his leg was cut. We didn't understand why his leg was cut. It was bleeding profusely. And we didn't know what to do, because I had to rush. That same evening, I had a bus to catch to Parthi. I had to be in Parthi the next morning, and we were already at 5 o'clock. The bus was at 7:30. I had to go home, pack, leave, catch the bus. So I was in the dilemma what to do. Should I help this man, or should I rush to the bus stop, home and then bus stop? But I chose to give the man some money. So me and my father said, let's pool in whatever we have. So we pulled in some $300-400 or lesser than that, which was a lot of money that time. And we gave it to this man and said, take care of your leg, get it bandaged. There's a hospital here, go get it done. As soon as we gave him the money, he literally fell at our feet and said, you're gods. I said, sir, we are not gods. God is elsewhere. And sorry, we can't help you. Go to the hospital. So we sat in the auto. On the way back, we just prayed, said, Swami, please bless this man. We are not able to help him as much as we want to. I know he's part of you, you are him, he's you. We can't help because we have to rush. So we prayed that very earnestly from the heart. We prayed, reached home, and we forgot about the incident. I took my bags, went to the bus station, caught the bus, slept, got up, came to Parthi, got ready. And that was a Sunday morning. So Sunday mornings we have darshan. So darshan time, I wanted to get ready for darshan, so got ready, and I completely forgot about the instance. And dressed up, went to darshan, sat in some line in the middle. So in that middle line, there's no chance of Swami coming, because you're not sitting on the Swami's path where everybody takes in the corner or in the front. There's no chance of Swami coming and seeing you, meeting you, talking to you. There was no expectation also. And not did he talk to me as regularly as maybe some other boys, who were very lucky to have this conversation with Swami. I wasn't one of them. So I was not expecting Swami to come to me and speak with me, sitting in the center. After darshan, Swami came out of his interview room, and for some reason, Swami was very mischievous that day. He was smiling, not talking to anybody, just smiling, walking and smiling, looking at everybody and smiling, in a very good mood. And I had no idea why he was doing that. So normally we're looking at Swami. Swami moved into the bhajan hall. I was sitting on the veranda actually. Swami went into the bhajan hall. I was watching Swami go into the bhajan hall. After Swami wasn't seen, because Swami wasn't seen after some time, he goes into the bhajan hall and you can't see him. So I was like, okay, Swami is not seen. I was whiling away time looking elsewhere because I couldn't see Swami. But before I realized, and some of the boys suddenly moved. Then I realized Swami had come out. Swami had come out from the back entrance of the bhajan hall and he came back to the veranda. And this time he's standing right where I'm sitting in that group. But I'm not in the path. So he stood there and he's looking at me, directly at me. I didn't know what to say. I was thinking now he'll walk into the crowd and we'll have to move. Likewise, he walked into the crowd. Everybody moved, made a path. Luckily, I also moved back, and the path of Swami to walk, which we created right then, was in front of me. Okay? It's in front of me. Now I'm looking at Swami, looking at his whole body. My focus is obviously on his feet. So as Swami comes, I have to fall at his feet and take Padnamaskar. Grab him, catch his feet, take Padnamaskar. That was the focus. So my eyes were completely like, this, like Arjuna, when he focused on the fish and not anything else. I was like Arjuna that day. I was focusing on Swami's feet. I was focusing on Swami's feet. Swami walked closer. Now he's about 2 to 2.5 feet away from me. But he's standing 2.5 feet away and I'm not able to touch his feet. I'm trying to touch his feet. I'm not able to touch his feet. I've stretched my hand, not able to touch his feet. Now I'm wondering, so 1 minute passed. 1 minute is a long time when Swami is standing in front of you and the feet are not moving and you don't know why the feet are not moving. And so I waited for 1 minute looking at his feet to see if I can touch his feet, but he's not moving. I waited for 1 minute and slowly I moved my eyesight from his feet all the way to his face and looked at his face, and I was looking at his face, he's looking directly at me. When Swami looks into your eyes, you don't know what to say. Directly looking at me, I don't know what to say. I don't know what he wants. And he's smiling. And then he says, "Where are you from?" He asks me. I kneel up and say, "Swami, I'm from Hyderabad, Swami." Then Swami says, Hyderabad, good boy, hits me on the head 3 times and pushes me down, makes me sit. I take Path Namaskar I had planned, but I was not planning for a conversation with him. And it's a very small conversation. And he walked past. On the way back to the hostel, I was thinking, I should have said, "I'm from you're my creation." Something very poetic, right? I mean, it'll sound nice. I mean, "I'm from you created me, you gave me birth, you gave me life." I should have said something like that. Why did I say Hyderabad? This is what I was thinking on the way back to the hostel while walking. Then something which I realized was that the previous night I'd helped a man in Hyderabad, gave him some money and prayed to Swami and said, "Please, Swami, take care of this man." Okay? Selfless, at that point in time, the act was selfless. There was nothing selfish about it. And I prayed to Swami saying, "Swami, please take care of him." The Lord heard it. Being in Parthi, he heard it. He realized that I had helped this man, and Swami is everywhere. That's what he told me that day. He said, "I'm everywhere. You help me somewhere, you help somebody somewhere, it reaches me." And so he was very happy, in a very beautiful mood that day. And he said, "Where are you from?" "From Hyderabad." "Good boy, good boy, good boy." And he said that, made me sit. And what a pleasant encounter to see Swami happy. There's times when I saw Swami very upset, and it's a bad encounter to have. But nevertheless, and he's your father, mother, God, everything. So you could have that encounter, but this is an amazing experience that I want to share with you. I know I'm at 6:45, a little bit more than 6:45. Apologies. I'll pause here and give it back to the to the coordinators to take it forward. Saira.
Thank you, brothers Pawan. That was an amazing journey. You have walked us through all right from the elders, the parentals, and the grandfathers, grandmothers, and last coming to you, which is a non-stop and will be continuing ever forever. The Swami's grace is like that. Uh, I would also request the audiences, if you have any questions, can you please post in this chat box so that I will take over from there. Thank you, Pawan, brothers, for the sharing the beautiful experiences. I have a few questions, if I may, to go ask you.
Sure.
Many of our brothers in this church, they have been experienced in Patti in Swami's presence. Even you to be being a student there, when Swami looks at eye-to-eye contact from each other, how do you feel? What was your feel, and what is that you?
I couldn't hear the last part, but I heard your question. How do you feel when Swami looks at you?
Yeah, eye-to-eye contact. Yeah.
Um, I don't know what to, how do you say it? I mean, it's difficult to explain the feeling. When he looks into your eyes, I will tell you something. It was not my mind talking to me, but it was something to do with my inner self, like an atma. Believe me, there is a part of you which is your thought, right? You think about something and say, "I should do it now. I should put this glass, take it from here, put it there." That's what you're actually thinking, and you use your motor skills to take this and put it there. When Swami comes in front of you, none of that works. Especially when he looks into your eyes, none of that works. In my atma, or my soul used to tell me that I know this man. Okay, at that point of time, I was referring to him as a man from somewhere. I know this person from somewhere. It's not this birth. It is multiple births. I know him from somewhere. Like you see your father, how do you feel? Oh, it's my father. You recognize him, but that's your mind recognizing you. Here I know that I know Swami only from this birth, but my soul was telling me I know him from years and years and years and years. So the soul is very old vis-a-vis the body. And the soul is telling you, you know this man for millions of years. When you were alone, he was with you. When you had a problem, he was with you, is what the soul is saying. But it doesn't say it in so many words. It's just a feeling that comes out. It happened to me every single time that Swami looked into my eyes. So I don't know how to explain it. And that's the best way I can put it, that I know him. So basically, it's like a reflection of you in Swami and Swami in you. It's a beautiful feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Yes, it's very true, because when Swami looks at the eye to contact, we might feel shy sometimes. Even I had that beautiful experience moments in my life, wherein you said that you wanted to take a path namaskar, but I was other way. I was a kind of different mindset, saying that I wanted to see the face of Swami till my death. The moment I went there, my last day, last breath I take it, I should able to see that glorious face. And I never believe, trust me, that I had never asked Swami for his Padma Star. That was a kind of foolish act from my end, because I didn't realize that. But yes, till today, if I wanted to see Swami's face, that glorious face, the flames coming, so beautiful flames across the face, I still able to see that. That is Swami has provided that grace to me. That's
Beautiful.
a beautiful. That's a beautiful one.
That's a
Brother,
beautiful experience. Yeah.
brother, there are a few questions from our brothers here.
Sure.
I would like to take one by one there.
Yeah.
How do you connect with Swami after the Swami has left his physical form?
How do you connect with Swami after Swami has left his physical form?
Yes.
Well, that's part two of what I'm going to share with you when I share with you. To keep it very short and precise, Swami has not left us. I mean, he's left us physically. The physical form is not there. But that form has not left us. I'll give you experiences of mine where he has come repeatedly in my dream. I have a problem. He comes and solves it. And the biggest problems that today we have is what? Somebody is not well. I don't have a job, no money, and all that. And that he solves. I mean, I pray to him one night and he comes in me. For example, the latest dream I got was last week. And you don't know the reason why he comes in your dream and gives you. So last week he came in my dream. Swami is standing in front of me. I'm supposed to. I'm a student apparently sitting in front of Swami. Swami comes. His hair starts to get wet through some rain or something. His hair is getting wet, and I'm wondering who will give him towel. I gave him towel. Swami wipes his hair, and then he takes out one tooth which is loose in his mouth, and he gives it to me and says, "Keep this tooth with you." Tooth. And then he says, "Fix your tooth. Your tooth is missing." So I had an accident. I lost a tooth. He's saying, "Your tooth is missing. Fix your tooth." And he walked out. And this has happened, I mean, not the tooth part, but multiple things have happened. I've lost a job, he came and blessed me with a job. I wanted a promotion, he blessed me with a promotion, I got it. I wanted to come back to Hyderabad from Chennai in January 2020. I prayed to him. March, I was in Hyderabad with my family. I was telling him that, Swami, I'm so far away from you. Can you help me to come back home with my family? I was missing my children. And Swami said, and it happened through COVID. Obviously, I'm working from home since March, but he made it happen. So there are multiple such instances where Swami blesses you and comes. So what I'm trying to say is Swami is not away from us. Swami is with you. You just have to believe it. Believe me, for 2 years, I'll give you that ordeal which I faced next session. 2 years, I was suffering without something which I desperately wanted. I never had it. Money, job, didn't have it. You know, but I trusted one thing. And I trusted it because of a dream that he came to me in. So just trust him. Leave it to him. He will come and solve the problem. If you are trying to solve it yourself, he will not solve it. If you leave it to him and say, Swami, I can't solve it. You are God. I trust you. You solve it. Say that, leave it to him. Can you do that? Do that and see the miracles that will happen in your life. I didn't do it for a long time, but I did it at the end of the second year. He came in my dream. I will tell you next time how he did that. Some amazing experiences, which I think you will realize the trick of the trade in praying, I should say. So that's the answer, brother.
Very true. It is the medicine is only surrender yourself. That is what Swami been keeping on
Correct.
telling the line.
Right.
So it's other way. Look at the creator, not the creation. That's what you said. So it's even links with that kind of. There is one more question I would like to pass through on that.
Sure.
What is that we should do to never feel disconnected from Swami? Of course, it should happen by Swami's grace. But what is that we should do as a devotee?
Okay. So there are times when you lose focus on Swami and you kind of focus on other things that are important to you in life. It could be money, it could be relationships, it could be something material. For the time being, it happens to all of us, happens to me. But there's one thing I tell myself, and it's true, through my experiences and my blessings from Swami, he made me realize that every breath that you take from this nose, which goes in, and every time your heart beats, it's beating because Swami wants it to beat. Okay? Think about it this way. I mean, there's so many people who take their bikes and go out to work, or they take the cars and go out to work. A lot of people have accidents and die. They don't come back home. People have accidents. There are a lot of people. You know how many people die in India? Why so many people die of hunger and COVID-19, the biggest killer so far. So many people are dying. Why are we healthy? Who's protecting us? Why are we breathing? Why is our heart beating? Why are we able to eat food? Who's helping us? Who's giving us that? Believe me, brothers and sisters, it is not our strength, physical ability that is stopping us. If we were so strong that we could physically stop everything in life, why are we not able to beat a small virus which is microscopic? Why can't we kill the virus? Why is man taking such a long time to kill a small virus? That is evident that it's God's reason why somebody's getting it, somebody's not getting it, why you're safe. So what I'm trying to say is basically, brothers and sisters, that if you feel disconnected from Swami, think about all that he's given you. How much of food, clothing, luck, jobs he's given you, and how he's saved you so many times. Okay, always think that because of him, I'm like this. If you're on the street, you don't have a house, think that because of him, I'm breathing. If you have a bike, you don't have a car, think that because of his blessing, I have a bike. If you have a house, think about it, because of his blessing, I have a house. Because of his blessing, I have children. Because of his blessing, I have whatever I have. Without him, we are nothing. So think about it that way, that because of him, we are what we are. Otherwise, we would not be existing at all. If he wishes, we will stop breathing. Try to stop your breath for 40 seconds. You will be completely suffocated. So Swami is letting us breathe every minute and second, and that's the reason we are alive. So think about it that way. So if you're getting disconnected, think that your very being is because of Swami wanting you to be alive and wanting you to be breathing and living happily with whoever, mother, father, sister, brother, wife, whatever, is because of his blessing. We are all because of his blessing. Otherwise, we are nothing. Believe me, that's the truth.
True.
Okay, so don't feel disconnected. If you're feeling disconnected, think like this. I'll give you more examples, miracles from next time, where you'll realize why Swami gives you something and how he gives you and how he blesses you. I'll tell you about that also next time.
True. Swami's presence is omnipresence. So
Yes, I will
without
tell you
his
about that also. Yes,
without his will, even a grass of leaf cannot move from one place to other. So that is there.
yes,
That's no
yes,
doubt.
brother.
Thank you so much. And the last, in the interest of time, how do you explain about Swami to youth, especially who haven't seen or experienced Swami?
Well, we've been lucky to be having Swami with us. I think it's by his blessing that we've experienced Swami. But believe me, a lot of devotees in the past have not seen God, but they have experienced God. Let me take through the example of Valmiki. Okay, he was a killer, murderer, and he saw God before Rama even came. And then Rama came. I don't think Valmiki actually met Rama. And so, if you talk about Krishna at the same time, a lot of devotees have not seen Krishna, Rama, but they're biggest devotees. And there's devotees where they've given their lives for God, though they've not seen God. So it is not related to seeing God in person, touching His feet, and then only being devoted. There are a lot of examples where people have enjoyed the proximity with Swami, but they're still not in Swami's fold. So youth have to realize one thing: the teachings of Swami, how true they are. Number one. Number two, you practicing it yourself before you actually preach it. That's two, because otherwise youth will not follow or not believe what you're saying. And I think it's good to share experiences that you've had with Swami and how Swami teaches you and how he was and how he smiled and all that. As seniors or people who have experienced Swami, you kind of share it with youth. Youth will be very excited. I think some of the examples I'm going to give you in the next session also. But one example, of course, is that the biggest diamond in the world. And there's a YouTube video of Swami creating the Kohinoor. I mean, these things can't be explained. And next session, I'll talk about how Swami rescued my friend's father. So these things, notwithstanding only creating objects, but Swami can actually think about what you are thinking also. There was a speech that Swami was giving some time back when I was a student, and I was thinking in my mind, again a boring speech from Swami. Literally, I thought this, huh? And Swami immediately in his speech said, some people will think that my speech is boring, but there are a lot of good things you'll get out of the speech, is what Swami said immediately. Then I said, oh my God, Swami is reading my mind, is what I thought. And Swami said, some people think that I'm reading their mind. It's true, I can read your mind. Then I said, I thought something else. And Swami in his speech said the same thing. So what I'm saying is Swami is everywhere. That's what youth have to realize. And youth have to realize that Swami is omnipresent. He is like the air. You have to just experience it. I think it is a big endeavor from all the students from Sri Sathya institutions, Sevadar and everybody in Swami's fold to kind of bring that experience together to give to the youngsters. And the more we share, I think there'll be more belief and more love for Swami. I think we should get there. I think we will get there.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, Swami reading our minds and all. It's really true, because even I was one of the witnesses when during November '99 second World Youth Conference which happened, the 3 days continuously. Swami knows very well, and Swami hears of each minute to minute things. He is so careful about that. It has so happened. It just recalled me with this your incident. Uh, there was across the Mahilas and gents, especially youths below 30 or 35 years of that, and across the globe, data people has come in Parthi, and there was a one young lady who was standing with a bouquet to give to Swami. And then we all the gents on the other side, we are looking at that. And I said, something today Swami will take some class of these girls. Because the kind of dressing was so different, it's not to be seen in Puttaparthi as the kind of dressing. And with the bouquet, the girl standed and to try to give to Swami. So then we were thinking that something will happen, Swami will say something. Then Swami started with saying that the dresses are there. I understand the boys, the gents, they keep the dresses from top to bottom, they cover everything. But the dresses are there to cover the body, not to show the body. Uh, instantly it struck to my mind that yes, my God, what is Swami? Swami is taking so much of care of each minute things. So he knows what goes in the mind, what goes in our senses also. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, brother, so much for your excellent, loving, and sharing the experiences. And in the interest of time, now I would request our DP is District President Shri Sundaraman brother to kindly give a vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Sai Ram.
Evan.
My dear brothers and sisters, today we have had a wonderful satsang because Shri Pawan Sairam has taken us through the memories of his journey with Swami. And every Saturday we await for these satsangs to happen because these are occasions to recharge ourselves to whatever happens to us during the weekdays. Uh, Recalling Swami is always recharging. So the body, the battery, the mind has to be recharged, and Swami is our eternal energy giver. And thank you, brother Pavan, for giving us the opportunity to listen to all that you have shared with us. And we await for more such opportunities, and we pray Swami that he blesses us all with such wonderful occasions. And through all the messages of all these lessons that we are learning, let us strive to put into practice that what Swami has told us. And with these few words, I conclude today's satsang. We'll chant Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu and conclude. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaः Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaः Sukhino
Bhavantu.
Om Shanti
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.